All right, so TTL. Let's dive in.
TTL.
Terse RDF Triple Language.
Yeah.
We're going deep today.
Yeah.
You've sent over some really fascinating stuff on how this is like changing the game for ontologies.
Yeah.
And you're especially interested in how TTL stacks up against JSON, right? Particularly when it comes to these large language models,
Right.
LLMs. Everybody's talking about them.
It's a hot area right now for sure. And there's a reason TTL is taking off.
Yeah.
Especially as LLMs get more and more sophisticated. It's all about giving them data they can really truly understand.
Right, not just process.
Not just process, exactly.
That's what got me thinking, too. We're talking about moving beyond just, like, storing data, right?
Yeah.
One of the articles you sent over really highlighted how TTL is about capturing knowledge.
Yeah.
Like those relationships and connections that make data actually mean something.
Yeah.
I can see why that's such a big deal for LLMs.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine trying to teach an LLM about family relationships, right?
Yeah.
Just using a list of names. It wouldn't get very far.
No.
But give it a family tree, where each person is linked in a meaningful way. Suddenly, it can start to grasp these concepts. Parents, siblings, even things like inheritance patterns. That's the power of TTL for ontologies. It's turning data into, like, a knowledge map.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's a good visual. So instead of just a random pile of facts, TTL is like giving LLMs a blueprint for actually understanding things.
Exactly. It's structuring information in a way that mirrors how we as humans understand the world, right? We think in relationships, categories, hierarchies.
Yeah.
TTL lets us represent that complexity in a way that machines can then, get a handle on.
This John Doe example from one of the papers, even though it's simple, I think it illustrates this well. Like, you've got John Doe defined as a person with attributes like name and age.
Right.
But then you link him to Jane Doe through a nose relationship. It's like, it's basic, but you can see how it's building towards something much bigger.
That's it. That's the beauty of TTL, is its elegance. With just those few lines, you've defined a concept, person, given it properties, established a connection with another concept. And this can scale to, really mind-boggling scenarios.
Yeah.
Imagine mapping out like a huge network of scientific concepts, each linked to related theories, experimental data, even dissenting viewpoints. That's the power of TTL for building these rich, nuanced ontologies.
Yeah, it makes me think about how we organize information in the real world.
Yeah.
Like libraries using the Dewey Decimal System or scientists with taxonomies for classifying species. TTL is bringing that same order to the digital world, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And for LLMs, that structure it's essential. It's the difference between having, just a jumble of random facts versus a coherent body of knowledge that they can then use to reason, learn, even come up with new insights.
So we've established that TTL is great for these knowledge maps, these ontologies. But, a lot of us are used to JSON. It's everywhere. It's simple. It gets the job done. Why is TTL suddenly like the new favorite, especially for LLMs? Is this just a fad, or is there something more to it?
It's definitely deeper than just a fad. You see, JSON is fantastic for simple data exchange. Think of it like sending a quick text.
Right.
But TTL is like, having a deep, nuanced conversation.
So JSON's great for a list of ingredients, but TTL gives you the whole recipe. And LLMs, they need that recipe, that context, to really create something intelligent.
That's a fantastic analogy. JSON gives you the what, the individual data points, but TTL gives you the how and the why, the relationships and meaning that tie everything together.
Yeah.
LLMs are going beyond just simple pattern matching. They're trying to understand the world more like we do, like humans do. And for that, they need TTL.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture. But to make this really concrete, let's look at a real-world example.
Sure.
One of your sources used the IMDG, the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, to illustrate how TTL shines. Now, I gotta admit, that sounds kind of dry.
It might sound dry, but it's actually a perfect example of TTL's power. Imagine you're building, let's say, a chatbot for a shipping company.
Okay.
This chatbot needs to be able to instantly access and understand all these complex regulations about hazardous materials.
Right.
JSON will just give you a flat list of codes and descriptions, but TTL can do so much more.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break that down for me. What does TTL bring to the table that JSON just can't?
Well, with TTL, you can represent that whole IMDG code as, a network of knowledge. You can define each dangerous good as a concept, link it to its hazard class, its packing instructions, even its UN number.
Right.
And you can do all this in multiple languages. The source mentioned Korean and English labels, which is essential for, global shipping.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's not just organizing the information, it's making it understandable across like different languages and situations. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little stuck on that. How would this actually work for our chatbot example?
Well, think about the kind of questions a shipping clerk might need answered.
Yeah.
They could search for, let's say, flammable liquids
Uh-huh.
and get this huge, overwhelming list.
Right.
But what if they need to know the specific packing instructions
Right.
for a flammable liquid with a particular UN number?
Okay, yeah, that's a much more specific question. I can see how just a basic keyword search wouldn't cut it there.
Exactly. And that's where TTL's secret weapon comes in, SPARQL. It's a query language specifically designed for these knowledge graphs you create with TTL.
Okay.
Using SPARQL, our chatbot can understand that complex question, navigate the relationships in the IMDG data, and boom, find the exact packing instructions instantly.
So it's not just that the data is organized. It's that TTL gives us this tool, this powerful tool, to ask really sophisticated questions
Right.
and get precise answers.
Exactly. And that's why TTL is such a game changer for LLMs. It goes beyond just retrieval.
Right.
It allows for true understanding and reasoning about the data. It's like the difference between, looking up a word in the dictionary versus actually understanding all the nuances of how it's used in different contexts.
That makes sense. That brings me to something else that jumped out at me in the material you sent. Extensibility.
Uh-huh.
This seems like a major advantage, especially compared to something like JSON.
Oh, absolutely. Extensibility is essential, right? In
Yeah.
the real world, information's constantly evolving.
Right.
With JSON, if you want to add, let's say, a new field or relationship, you often have to restructure the whole data set. It's like trying to add a room to a house by
Okay.
rearranging all the existing walls.
So with TTL, it's more like you're just adding another Lego brick.
Exactly. You can add new concepts, relationships, attributes without breaking the existing model. So going back to that IMDG example,
Okay.
imagine some new regulations come out for a certain class of chemicals. With TTL, you just, you seamlessly incorporate those changes without having to disrupt the whole knowledge base.
And on the flip side, you mentioned data integrity. Sounds like TTL has some built-in ways to make sure the data is consistent and accurate. That has to be huge for LLMs, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, data integrity it's absolutely vital, especially when you're dealing with this kind of complex information that LLMs use for, decision making.
Right.
TTL has mechanisms to ensure the data sticks to a predefined structure, a logic.
Yeah.
It's like, think of it like a grammar checker for your ontology, making sure everything is, consistent and valid.
So if someone tries to add something contradictory or format it wrong, TTL would, flag that.
Exactly. It would catch those errors.
It's almost like TTL is ensuring the quality of the knowledge itself.
That's a great way to put it. TTL isn't just about making data machine readable. It's about making it machine understandable.
Yeah.
It's establishing a shared language of meaning
Okay.
that both humans and machines can use to communicate effectively.
You mentioned earlier TTL is really gaining traction, especially with LLMs on the rise.
Right.
But I'm wondering, are there downsides,
Yeah.
limitations we should be aware of? Is it all, perfect with TTL?
Well, like anything, TTL has its trade-offs. One challenge is the learning curve.
Yeah.
It is a specialized language.
Right.
It takes time and effort to really master the syntax and semantics.
It's not as plug and play as JSON, which
Yeah.
is more of a familiar
Yeah,
friend at this point, right?
Exactly. But the good news is there's a growing community and tons of resources to help people get up to speed with TTL. You've got online tutorials, well-documented libraries like Apache Jena, RDFlib,
Right.
even dedicated training courses. So it's out there.
So the resources are there if you're willing to, put in the time. What about scalability?
Yeah.
You mentioned these TTL ontologies can get pretty complex.
Uh-huh.
Could that become a bottleneck when you're dealing with really massive data sets?
Yeah. Scalability is definitely a consideration, especially for big data applications. TTL ontologies can become very large, complex,
Right.
which can strain traditional databases. However, there are specialized database systems designed to handle, the unique demands of graph data.
Okay.
And these are getting more and more powerful and efficient all the time.
So it's not a deal breaker, more like a hurdle that folks are finding ways to get over.
Right, exactly. And as TTL gets used more widely, the technology's evolving to keep up with those, large-scale demands.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time to be working in this field because we're seeing so much innovation.
As we've been talking about TTL and all the advantages, it's hit me that we're not just talking about a new data format.
Right. Yeah.
It feels almost like a fundamental shift in how we think about data, about knowledge.
Yeah, I totally agree. TTL represents a movement toward a more semantic understanding of information. It's not just the data itself, it's the meaning, the connections behind it.
Yeah.
It's allowing machines to grasp information in a way closer to how we do as humans.
And that seems to be the key to unlocking the real power of LLMs, doesn't it?
Mm.
Give them knowledge that's structured, that's connected, not just a bunch of random bits of data.
Precisely. With TTL, we're not just throwing information to LLMs, we're giving them the tools to actually reason, make inferences, connect the dots on their own. We're teaching them to think,
Yeah.
not just to, repeat what they've heard.
One of the papers you sent talked about the semantic web. I
Mhm.
remember that was a big buzzword a few years back.
Right.
Is TTL helping to make that vision a reality?
Absolutely. The whole idea was to make the information on the internet machine understandable. And TTL is a major part of that. By using these standardized vocabularies, these ontologies, TTL lets different systems share and reuse knowledge, seamlessly. It's like creating a universal language for machines to talk to each other
Okay.
about these complex concepts.
So it's not just about like one app or data set. It's about building this whole web of knowledge that machines can like collectively tap into and understand.
Exactly. Imagine LLMs that can just seamlessly pull information from scientific databases, medical journals, historical archives, even, social media. They can help us discover new cures, find hidden patterns in history, even personalize our online experiences in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But for folks who are just starting out with TTL and ontologies, where do they even begin? It can seem a little intimidating.
Yeah, I get that. But there are lots of resources to help you get going. A good first step is to, just familiarize yourself with the basic syntax of TTL, how it's structured. There are online tutorials, guides that can walk you through the fundamentals.
And once you've got those basics, there are tools, libraries that can help you actually use TTL.
Right. Tools like Apache Jena, RDFlib, they're great for working with TTL data. They can do all sorts of things, parsing PTL files, querying ontologies.
Right.
And as you get more into it, there are specialized databases, query engines designed for these, massive ontologies.
It sounds like there's a whole ecosystem growing up around TTL.
Yeah, it is.
But beyond the technical stuff, is there a community where people can connect, share ideas, learn from each other?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The TTL community is super active, very welcoming. You've got online forums, discussion groups, even conferences where you can connect with other people who are into this, ask questions, get support. It's a great way to, learn from those who've been doing it for a while and stay on top of the latest developments.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like TTL is a lot more than just a data format. It's a new way of thinking about knowledge, a key part of the semantic web.
Yeah.
And it's driving this whole new era of intelligent applications powered by, LLMs.
That's a great summary. As LLMs keep getting more advanced, TTL is going to be more and more important in, shaping what they can do, unlocking their true potential.
And for everyone listening, we encourage you to, check out TTL, see what it's all about. It's a journey that'll not only teach you new technical skills,
Right.
but also change how you think about knowledge, intelligence, even the future of technology itself.
Couldn't agree more. The possibilities with TTL they're endless.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time to be part of this.
Well, that's all for our deep dive today. Hope you enjoyed exploring the world of TTL with us. We'll be back soon with more fascinating deep dives.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you next time.